Well, every road I see leads away from me. There's not a single one that leads me home. The road keeps saying, friend, come see what's round the bend. So is it any wonder that I roam? All the places I have been keep calling me back again. Down in the pines I hear the cold winds blow. My heart keeps telling me, foot loose and fancy free, and the road goes by and calls me as it goes. Well, maybe somewhere there's a someone waiting with a smile, and maybe there'll be some place I can stop and rest a while. And maybe you weren't meant to be just a rolling stone, and there's a road to travel on that leads you back to home.
I guess I'm the one doing this tonight, ain't I?
This is your show. I'm not even supposed to be here.
Yeah. Things kind of got a little squirrely there. I'm not going to get into the details. We might rant a little bit about it later. Yeah, so we're supposed to be scheduled for next week, right?
No, this week.
Was it this week?
Yeah.
I thought we did it last week.
We did the Reload show last week with Sheldon.
I thought that was Tales. No, okay.
Maybe I was wrong.
Anyway, here we are. So yeah, I just want to welcome everybody in, and you might have noticed we're only streaming on one channel tonight. Like I said, Garrett wants to get into that. I'll let him get into that here in a little bit later.
We're in jail.
Yeah. Yeah. Freaking YouTube. I don't know if I get started on that. This might be a salty edition because, yeah.
Let's just say that everybody that kept asking why we didn't take guns apart on stream, that's why. You don't have to get very detailed and they'll do it to you.
Yeah. Bunch of bastards anyway. But anyway, yeah, I already got salty. So, yeah. So it's Tales and Trails. And, yeah, I had no idea we was... So this is kind of an Ask Duke anything. Once again, we're not prepared for this. I'm not prepared for this anyway.
I got to go back and make sure that's what we did last week. I'm sure we did.
I'm pretty sure it was Tales of the Trails last week. That's why I'm all screwed up.
They might have. I can't remember these things.
Let's see here. We're going to figure this out here before we get too far into this chat.
Yep, Tales of the Trail 6 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. It's supposed to be Reload show this week. But
I had a snapper show in the middle of last week. That's why it got me all confused.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it was supposed to be Reload show this week, but somebody had to go upload a video. You know, it's really offensive to, you know, show how to put together a wheel lock from the freaking 1500s.
It didn't even put together a wheel lock, just put together a chain that goes in a wheel lock. But for everybody who wants to know why we don't do it, and the people who keep asking us to do it, that's why.
Yeah, like I said, if I get too far into this, it's going to get to be a salty edition, like Deadwood salty. One of the reasons why I quit making videos, because all the BS. So, anyway, yeah, I don't expect this to get too terrible big because, it's, like I said, it's going to be advertised on or streamed on one channel.
I was about to go over and create a community post, but I can't do that either.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Guess we could. Well, I don't know. Is Smoke in the Woods big enough to stream?
I don't have it set up to. I could have, but I don't have it set up to. You don't have to be big to stream on StreamYard, just YouTube.
That's true. This is true.
You can have one subscriber and stream on StreamYard.
This is very true. Oh man. So anyway, yeah, that's why we're unprepared. Well, I'm unprepared, and It's one of those things. So yeah, this is kind of an Ask Duke Anything. Whatever historical questions you got, we'll answer them to the best of our abilities. Can't say I know everything, but I know some things.
You're jack of many trades.
And jack of many trades and master of none, and that's a god awful truth about it too.
You ready for some comments?
Yeah, let's go through these comments. Let's get this.
First question for you is, does Duke remember he's going live?
Yeah, I remembered we was going live now, and I'm sitting here waiting, and it's like, where's Garrett? Where's Garrett? Where's Garrett? Of course, Garrett called me and says, hey, you want to do a live chat tonight? And I'm like, sure, yeah, I figured it was real. And he's like, oh, it's going to be Tales and Trails. I'm like, what the heck?
I didn't even think of that. I got all confused. I had too much stuff going on.
We've got, it's summertime. We got too much crap going on. Yeah, it's just been, but I will say today's been kind of one of those days I've actually got to relax a little bit. Got to relax this whole weekend. It was nice.
We got Diane Houston says, good evening. Doug Duke says, maybe ask Garrett anything. No, don't ask Garrett anything. His knowledge is very limited. Hardy said, hello, you silly humans. Brandon Birch said, evening, everyone. Kodak Tackman said, ain't no, there's a show tonight. What's going on? Saboteur's in Sheldon. Hi, he says, howdy. Yeah, you call this meeting. Louisiana Gray said, good evening, all. Jason Dunham said, sorry I'm late. Texan 1836. Evening, boys. Diane Houston said, is the 11 Bang Bang the Outlaw show? They are right now. They're just the non-existent show for the moment. Timber Drifter said, evening, fellas. On this platform, it's an honor to be in jail. Yeah, that's pretty much how it is.
Till all your hard work goes down the drain.
Duke's bonding me out for an hour. Or two, or however long we go.
Yeah, for however long we go here.
Jordan Bell said, all righty, folks. I've wanted a hammered shotgun cartridge and not wanting to break the bank. Any recommendations?
Well, I mean, Rossi, I think it's Rossi. Rossi makes a good one. Stoger hasn't made a hammered for a while. I know Rossi makes one. There's the Cimarron, but you're going to be paying quite a few bucks for that Cimarron. And quite frankly, the quality of it doesn't justify the bigger chunk of money, but
it's got
not to say they're not good, they're just not great.
Yeah. The Badlander is not hammered, I guess. There's always the option to go look for an original one too. There's a lot of those still to this day. If you load them right, there's a lot of those not France. Who made them? Well, they're called W. Richards, a lot of them. They're Belgium. Not actually Richards. Yeah, they're just Belgium, made by Henry Pipier, guys like that. If you get a good fluid steel one, you can pick those up for a couple $100, and they're original. Just, be careful with them. Okay. Let's see. We had some questions here. Let's see. Where were we at? Oh, Gottsloka said, good evening. Oh, Hardy said he approves of Deadwood Salty. Diane Houston said, do you know much on Custer history? I feel like we have covered Custer history from every angle, front, back, center.
We've beat that horse to death several times.
I think
almost as much as Red Cloud's War.
We haven't covered him a lot in the Civil War, but we've covered him from every angle on all the live shows, I think. Texan 1836 said, Garrett, that hat gives you a young Burl Ives look. Dig in the cover. Oh, well, thanks. Wait till you see what I got in mind to get for this fall. Hopefully. I'm going to go a little different. I always like to be a little different. Here's a question. David W. said, good evening, fellas. Hardy said, in the flintlock percussion era, do we have any surviving examples of shooting bags with stuff dangling from the strap? Seems like all the pics I see of original, it's all separate.
I didn't catch that.
He wants to know if you know of any examples of original bags that have stuff dangling from the strap, or is it originally all separate?
Most of the stuff is going to be dangling inside the bag because especially when you get out here in the mountains, those old mountain men, you never leave anything hanging out because when you're riding through rough country, you may not have it.
Yep. And the first thing you think of when you think of hanging from the straps, usually people have a ball starter, and that wasn't really, I think it probably was historical, but every historic gun original from that era I own's cone. So,
no.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm trying to think like Alfred Jacob Miller paintings would be a great place to look. And then also was it the 1837 sketchbook, which is sketchbook where guys basically evaluating for living history purposes those paintings so that you can put your gear and stuff together. Only thing I can come to mind I think of depicted hanging off of a pouch is powder horn. A powder horn being attached to the pouch. And then like your patching material, I've seen big, for some reason I'm thinking I'm remembering that seeing a strip of patching material tied to a strap of a hunting bag hanging on the front.
Yep.
That's all I can think of.
I have seen patch knife sheath in the strap. And that was on an original, but I can't remember whose it was. It was at a show somewhere, somebody videoed.
Yeah. But there's one of those that, they show a loading block hanging off the guy's neck, which is, just a little block. It's got some pre-patched balls sitting in it.
Tom Tobin.
Yeah, Tom Tobin's got one of them, yeah. I was thinking of the Alfred Jacob Miller paintings. I'm pretty sure there's one that depicts that.
I had that right there in my hand here somewhere.
I just had that sketchbook here handy. I can't remember where I had it at. But anyway.
Sitting by my feet for the last year. Now it's not here.
That's the thing about some of this stuff is, when you need it, it's not there. When you want it, can't get rid of it. Or
I've noticed just personally, the more time I spend in the woods with a muzzleloader, the less I like stuff hanging off of me. It's hung up in tree limbs and rattles around.
Yep.
Small bag, small horn. Hopefully everything fits in the bag.
Yeah.
So I hope we answered your question there. Louisiana Gray said, love me some Burl Ives. Guns of the West, Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hi, Dustin.
Hey, fellas. Sorry I'm late. Always good to see you. Timber Drifter said, I'd like to hear more about that 15 gauge Garrett just showed off. Made in 1835 by James Roundtree. He was the first gun maker to actually put percussion caps on a shotgun and sold one to Joshua Shaw, who brought it to America in 1817. That's not the exact percussion cap we think of. It was a different kind, but it was a percussion cap. He lived in Barnard Castle, England. He owned the newest tower of the castle. He used it for a shot drop. And basically, he only put that safety on guns from 1835 to 1840. And he made about 20 guns a year for very rich people. And the reason I know that one's 1835 is it's got the number 4 engraved in a plate on the bottom. So that's why I assume it's an 1835 then. So there you go. It's 15 gauge, which Duke and I was trying to figure that out. And Duke actually had some historical references to 15 gauges.
It did. One historical reference. They call it a 15 shooter. I know good and well no Mormon's going to be shooting a knock volley gun off of his shoulder at a buffalo on horseback.
Well, Porter Rockwell and this other fellow was hunting buffalo one day.
But when you think about it, they call it a 15 shooter. Back in the day, guns weren't referred to as caliber or gauge. In the 1840s, they were still called by rounds to the pound.
Yeah.
So a 12 gauge was Fowler that, had 12 round balls to the pound, of course, 12 gauge shotgun. So that could be called a 12 shooter, or, it's basically the amount of bullets you get out of a pound of lead.
It was sold to me as a 12 gauge. And when I first picked it up, I was like, I know what a 12 gauge feels like. This is way lighter and way more maneuverable. Yeah.
And if you look, and because somebody asked me that, because we was trying to figure out what a 15 shooter was. And that's what we came up with, is the guy probably had a double barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
15 gauge in 1840s was really popular.
Yep. It's a tight 14, loose 16, but it shoots all that.
Yeah, it's a .6.
Well, the thing is,
so it's shooting probably a 67 caliber ball.
It can, but what I was reading this afternoon that it's so popular was because it's big enough to very easily accommodate the military musket round ball of the time, which was a 60, basically 63.4 for the 69 caliber muskets. So, and it shot them a little better.
Yeah, and that's basically the end of my knowledge of historic shotguns. Is that 15 gauge was really popular at that time. So,
it's hard to find historic shotgun information.
Yeah, it's one of those things that there was a shotgun. Well, basically, back in the day, you had every style of gun for every car that exists today. But yeah, shotguns, they're all over the place. They're so common that there's not a lot of knowledge of them.
Well, we don't think of shotguns in the rendezvous era, but they're there in the record.
They're there. Yep.
Double barrel catching shotguns.
If you look around like Texas, down in Texas, they like the bigger ones, the 12 and the 10 gauges in the 1840s. But yeah, in the 1840s, double barrel shotguns were really becoming a thing. Because you had 2 chances to shoot, and you could load it with shot or ball.
And evidently kill buffalo.
The single shot with a full charge of powder. Yeah, I could see that happening. Yeah.
The 64, 65 caliber round ball. Yeah. Let's see. 57 actual said recommendation for a Trapdoor Springfield that can take modern cartridge pressures. I don't reload. You want me to answer? You got something to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go with the. Since you don't reload, 5070's out. So you got to go with a 4570. Go with the model of 1884 or the model of 1888. Don't get an early model 1873. They changed the action in 1877 to make it stronger. The door's wider. The action doesn't have a high arch. And so if you get an 1884, which is the best one of the 4570s anyway, or an 1888, which is the Ramrod bayonet version, they were actually proof to shoot a smokeless load. And I can't remember the pressures off the top of my head, but they did develop a smokeless load for them in 1898. And you can shoot it. The only problem was they could not get the velocity with smokeless and stay at the pressure they wanted that they could with black powder.
Yep.
So basically they were cowboy loads. So I have gotten away plenty with an 1884, and Black Hills 4570 has not bothered me. So you'll be safe. You can do some study and get into a few of those 1873s and 77s. But if you want to play it safe, get an 1884 model 1888 and shoot light loads.
Yep. And like you were saying, Black Hills cowboy ammo. That's rated safe. And then Remington, I don't know if they still do it or not, but you used to find boxes and they would say on there for use in trapdoor rifles.
Yep.
Safe load.
The only real issue you're going to have is your range and your accuracy are going to fall apart because those are, let me think. I want to say that the modern bullets are 4.57s and originals would have been 4.59s. So the modern bullet, and that's one of the reasons they're safe, is gas can escape around them going down the barrel. But the original bores are a little bit bigger. Now, if you want to do this and do it right, get you a replica. So a couple companies make them. Uberti makes one. What's that other company, Duke, from the 70s?
It's pretty much Pedersoli's making them. Even the Uberti ones are Pedersoli made.
It's not H&A. It's not Hopkins and Allen.
H&R, Harrington and Richardson.
Yeah, Harrington and Richardson
made some good ones
in the 70s.
But even then, the trapdoor action, you do not want to be shooting anything real hot 45-70 out of any trapdoor. Reproduction or not.
Don't shoot hot 45-70 out of anything that's designed like that. Even rolling blocks aren't really designed to handle a lot of that.
Ranked for a Marlin.
Yeah.
that door will become a projectile in and of itself.
I would actually be more concerned with the barrel and breech area But yeah, it could very well pop it. They did in the past with heavy loads. So stay with what
Yeah,
the
I
guys
mean, if you're gonna
mentioned.
shoot a trapdoor, either buy the Black Hills Cowboy, something rated for, well, basically rated less than 18. I think it's 18,000 psi is what they say is safe.
Trust
Or
me, if
just
you
learn
get
to reload black
yeah,
powder. You can't screw up loading black powder.
I was about to say, if you get into it and you absolutely decide that you like it, you're going to have a single stage press loading 4570 before you
You
know
can
it.
get a single stage press, and I already have a setup for less than 300.
Yep. And shoot all you want. You'll be casting bullets and making powder and
Yep.
oh, guys, Hardy said, my issue with most modern hammered shotguns is the forestock is usually way too bulky. On originals, it seems like you're just supposed to grab both barrels.
Say that one again. I'm sorry, I can't hear with crap tonight.
Oh, sorry. He was just saying that the forestocks on most of them are too thick of the reproductions.
Yeah. Which is nice because you don't burn your fingers off.
Yep.
Trust me, I know how that goes.
Yeah, it gets hot in a hurry.
I about dropped a trapdoor.
Saboteur said, what about trade items or post-51 treaty pre-Red Clouds War skirmishes? 4?
Oh, that is something we could get into. Unfortunately, I'm not quite versed up on it to get too much into it tonight, other than Grattan fight, a little bit of Blue Water Creek. But yeah, there was some stuff going on between that and getting into the Civil War. You had the ferry fight, which I've read 3 different accounts and got 3 separate things being said on each one of them. But the basis of it is that the Miniconjou shot at some soldiers at the ferry at Fort Laramie, and soldiers went out and retaliated, which is going to play a role somewhat in the Grattan fight the following year, because supposedly one of the Miniconjous was killed after the ferry incident, was the brother of High Forehead that steals the Mormon cow that starts that fiasco. And then the Grattan fight leads into the Blue Water Massacre, Blue Water fight, however they call it, which sparks off the first Sioux War over there in Nebraska. And at the same time that's going on, you've got the Army going after the Cheyennes down in southern Kansas, eastern Colorado, which I'm currently reading up on that one, actually. I got another one of those books by Chaflaunt, which I don't even know where that book got off to. I don't remember which one it is. But anyway, yeah, I'm reading up on that one because that's 1857 that's going on. Same time as the first Sioux Wars going on. And then they've got another book over here. It's called Without Quarter that I'm going to get into next. And that's the next year of that going on stuff.
Yeah.
But for the trade items thing, I don't know if we got enough time to go through all trade items.
It sounds to me like you better have an episode and just invite him on.
Yeah, we should.
Because I bet he could tell you a whole lot.
If I had known that it was Tales of the Trails again this week, I would just say, come on.
I guess you can still come on.
Yeah, if you ain't doing anything, let us know. We'll sort it out here.
I'll tell you what, I'll send you a link, and if you want to jump on, jump on.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
If I can remember his email. Got it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like what little I did know about those pre-Civil War things, I've kind of forgotten because I've gotten so focused into Red Cloud's War. The human brain does have limited capacity of memory. And as I learn new things, some things are getting deleted out. And unfortunately, I have no control of whatever that is.
Yeah, have you ever gone back to one of your old videos when somebody comments on like a 5-year-old video with a question, and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Or go back and watch one of my videos and like, that stupid idiot doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Oh, crap, that's me.
I have done that myself a time or two.
Yeah.
Gotslica said on the hammer shotgun, Pieta, ? I didn't even know Pieta made a hammered shotgun.
Yes, they do. I think which company imported it? I think Cimarron imports a Pieta hammer shotgun. But I know Pieta actually makes a lot of different style of guns, not just Cap Mull revolvers. They make semi-auto shotguns, semi-auto rifles, a lot of modern stuff. That stuff just never gets to these States. It's over on the European markets. And so, or at least I never see it over here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they make a wonderful semi-auto 30-06 that I'd love to have one of. But yeah, Pieta makes a lot. I want to say the Wyatt Earp shotgun that Cimarron sells. The one's called Wyatt Earp. I think that is Pieta.
Interesting. Some of those Hammer remake shotguns, the hammers were just for show.
Yeah.
I can't remember which ones those were. Maybe Rossi's at one point or something.
Tell you what, though, the one that I'd really, really, really love to see somebody make a reproduction of is that one that's got the thumb latch on the side.
The Johnson thumb latch?
Yeah.
The original I have has the, they call that the, who made the pinfire? The Lafayette latch swings sideways. And I think the guy's name was Johnson who improved that so you don't have it sticking out sideways where it's just a thumb that pushes down on the side. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I'm trying to think that's the one because I remember right, Tombstone, there's one of those that shows up in the movie Tombstone.
They were a lot of Belgian guns with those on them too. Jeremy P said, "Hi everybody. Sorry I'm a little late. Putting the finishing touches on my flat top Ruger with the RW grip frame, Colt style Bisley." Cool. Kerry Stottlemyre said, "CZ is about the only option for a decent hammer side by side, and it's right around $1,000."
Yeah.
Now I don't mind Cimarron's 1878 copy. I just have to know what shells not to use in it.
The thing I love about it is the historical accuracy of it.
It's a little bulky, but not bad. And everything else is pretty spot on.
The thing I don't like about it is I have to be careful what ammo I put in it.
Exactly. And everybody tells you polish the chamber. I've done all that.
It ain't the chamber, it's that extractor. And what I really need to do is find a good gunsmith that knows what the heck they're doing and have them just mill out a new piece for that extractor, and all the problems will go away because those extractors aren't fitted to the gun.
For me, it'll work every time so long as I keep Herter's shotgun shells in it.
Now, see, mine Winchester AA brass hulls, they'll shoot those all day. You go to Winchester, cheap Winchester with the alumina hull or the steel hull, locks up every time.
Well, Winchester had such a bad run of those a few years ago that people were just destroying guns. I mean, I saw a lot of people ripping extractors in 870s. I had a Model 11 just like yours that I tried to run a couple of those through, and when it's that action, it just snaps the extractor off.
Yep.
There was something was wrong for a while. A question here from Brandon Birch said, "What is the most Bubba repair you all have ever done to one of your firearms? That Army San Marco 1851 cartridge of mine has about 4 different manufacturers of 51 parts, all hand fit to play nice with each other." What's your most bubbled up gun job?
So that 38 of mine that you really like, I lost the front sight on it. Come flying out of the gun.
Are you talking about the Type 1 Richards conversion? Yep. Okay.
So I went and found a box of gutter nails. So it just happened to be the right diameter. And I clipped one off and put it in there. And I thought I'd clip it off a little longer because it shot a little high. So I put this. So it had a freaking galvanized roofing nail about that long sticking out the top of the barrel.
Hi, Sheldon.
Hi, Sheldon.
Hey, guys.
I'm glad you could jump in short notice.
Yeah. Welcome to Tales of the Trails, man. We've been wanting to get you on this one for a long time.
Sheldon, you got any bubbled up gun stories?
Bubbled. I got one of those $100 20 gauge shotguns from Walmart. I, shorten the barrel to legal length.
18 and a half.
Yep. I think there's an extra inch in this, so it's like maybe 19 and a half.
Yeah.
That's really about it. I don't like bubbling guns.
I can tell you the most Bubba I'd seen. Now I have blown or bulged a Spanish-made UCAR barrel and then hacked that thing down into a pistol. That was
Oh yeah,
pretty
I forgot about that. I forgot about that. That's Indian fight.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't have a lot. But the worst one I've ever seen was an old German-made 22 pop metal single action that Ethan had when he was real little. I had it before him. It was dry fired so much that it blew the back of the frame out because it was not firing pin. It was a frame mounted firing pin, and dry fired it so much that it just cracked a hole around the firing pin. Firing pin fell out. And so he took a finishing nail and cut it off and a piece of duct tape and duct taped the head of that finishing nail into the back of that frame where the hammer always hit the duct tape. And he probably put 1,000 rounds to that thing that way. It was pretty hilarious.
Nice.
So, what were we talking about up here that you were going to talk to Sheldon about? Oh, trade items or post 51.
Trade items, yeah.
Treaty. Go ahead. I don't know what we're trading. Guns.
Of manufactured items.
Guns, wool, and beads.
No, yeah, like the 1850s. I'm trying to think here. 1850s blankets, of course, are still a big thing. And depending on the area, too. Each tribe had a different preference. At Fort Laramie, it was white and blue U.S. Army blankets. At Bent's Fort at one time, it was gray blankets. In fact, the trader, John Simpson Smith, his Cheyenne name was Puma, which apparently that's the Cheyenne word for gray blanket. He traded a lot of gray blankets off. Red were popular, green were popular, blue were very popular, but hard to come by for whatever reason. But yeah, blankets, they were always a big trade item. And I'm trying to think of what else besides, because I know when curved skinning knives came out, they became a really hot topic. And I want to say that was in the 1850s, later 1850s.
So tell us what you're building there, Sheldon, at the moment.
Well, I actually made up a pattern for one of those teepee bags. They're supposed to be buffalo skin, but I had some like German tan deer hide, and it was big enough to make one. So I made one. There's no beads on it. I sewed it up last night. So
perfect.
I'm also making a shooting bag. I found the original that was surrendered up in Fort Keele in 1880.
Nice.
So I'm copying that to the best of my ability. One thing I noticed is there's no flap on it. It's just like an open bag.
Right.
Does it have a button?
Nope. Just open. And it took me a while to figure out how it worked, because sometimes the simplest things go over my head. But it's a piece of leather, maybe, I don't know, 2 inches long, 3 inches long, and it's a little post and it's attached to the strap and to the bag, and what it holds the percussion caps.
Okay.
So I made one, and it holds about 10 percussion caps, or a little bit more.
Gotcha.
And all it is just like, best way I could describe it is like a power line. Like it's a T with 2 little like forks at the end poking up. And you put your cap there, and when you push the cap back in, the row that's above it kind of like secures it down. As I seen that one, like I said, was surrendered in 1880. And then I guess I saw one reproduction of one used by Comanches. So, and the one by Comanches is like a circle, and with the those little attachments, or they're cut into the leather.
Oh, like the disc.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If you give me a sec, I could send Garrett and both of you the picture. But I'm on my phone, so if I close out, I'm gonna go quiet for a bit.
Okay. Send it. He's better at putting the pictures up than me. Diane Houston asked, "What size were the original bags? Were they about 6x6?" That's pretty big, but I'm mostly into the Tennessee style stuff, which is like 4x3, like a little bitty.
You had day bags, and like Mountain Man era bags got a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking like getting into purse size, not like modern purse size where woman's got everything but the kitchen sink in that thing. But yeah, just a good sized pouch to carry your stuff in.
See, now I carry that on the other side of my shooting bag. It's an 8x8 over there.
Right.
But smaller shooting bag.
Trying to think of the guy's name, Teton Todd. I don't know if his YouTube videos are still up, but he used to have a great video on the possible bags, what they called them, for the Mountain Man shooting bags, possible bags. Yeah, that was kind of, and it was a variety. It would depend on who made it, the person.
Time period plays a big part.
Yeah. It's like the one I carried is an October Country, and I still use it. It's had a lot of years on it. Made a few changes to it, but it has been my main bag for a long time. I need to get my horn fixed and put back on it too.
A lot of them are the heart bags too that are way deeper than they are wide.
But yeah, I mean, most of your shooting bags are going to have some of the guys that carry a bar to a lead. You're going to have a bullet mold. I just happen to have this one here. This one's actually going to get sent in the mail to your brother here in a minute, Garrett.
Okay.
This is for Brown Bess. And then where did it go? Your brother's also getting this one too. Then you carry, a lot of times you carry a flint wallet. This is one I made. It carries 8 flints.
Very nice.
And at one point in time, I had a cleaning jag that was specifically adapted for that Brown Bess. I have lost it, but I got a couple more. It went in this pouch, and I got a couple more flints in there. And just for the record, anybody that's doing reenacting, if you got that modern chrome tan deerskin, it doesn't really do good for clothing, but if you need to make accoutrements, it gets by okay. Just take one thing I found you could do is take one of these gun flints, lay that chrome tan down, shiny side up, and just take that flint and start scraping that shininess off of it. And it actually makes it look better. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but for just going in a possibles bag, I mean, that don't look half bad.
Mm-hmm. Kodak Tackman, I'm still using 75, 15, 10 and Willow. Some other people have gotten it better than me, and I know Jake has a different ratio, but that's what I'm using, and I'm happy with it. Let's see, there's a question here. Hardy said, speaking of caps, were cappers actually common and they just didn't survive? I know Colt made them, so they existed. We've had this question before. Having a tin of caps in your pocket doesn't seem very ergonomic.
So cappers, they existed. You don't see a lot of reference to them being used.
Outside of Tom Tobin.
Yeah.
He had a piece of leather. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, now custom made cappers, like for rifle and shooting bag, that disc, like Tom Tobin's, it had a disc and it's scalloped edges, and each of those little scallops on that leather disc held a percussion cap, and so you just push that down over the nipple. Those did exist. The problem with those are your caps are exposed to elements. It don't take much moisture to rain a cap, not much moisture at all. But a little cap tin like this, yeah, this would go. Just throw it in your possibles bag. Yeah, it's not real conducive, but you just don't see much reference to cappers being out there. Colt didn't make cappers. They made cappers for the Patterson, which there's a reproduction out there. They made reproduction of them. They don't work because they weren't built to work. They were built to be part of a display box. Most of the time when I see a Colt capper, it's in a cased set display set.
Sheldon, have you seen cappers?
Not really.
Yeah.
So we had this question before, and I think it was Never Met a Gun I Didn't Like actually sent me some stuff on. Oh, I wish I still had it, but it's been years ago now. Cappers used for during the Civil War for mounted troops. They did exist for that, a few of them. But I don't remember what, when, where, or how.
Yeah, they weren't that common. They don't really show up that much.
Email that picture to Duke.
Okay.
Okay.
While he's looking for that, Kerry Stottlemyre said Britain is the best source for info on shotguns. Stephen Sheets said, good evening, everyone. Doug Duke said, but is a factory 4570 considered hot? I mean federal. I'm going to tell you, don't do as I say, not as I do. It wouldn't bother me, especially in an 1888, to shoot a federal 4570 that is not magnum loaded.
Yeah.
Just keep it down there where your pressures are about 18,000 PSI. Maybe right there is about the limit.
Oh boy. Yeah, the 18,000 PSI is going to be your marker. If it goes over that, it's too hot for the gun.
And it's not that it'll destroy the gun instantly. It'll start to wear on the hinge pin eventually,
right.
Which it will on a Sharps too, or any of those little guns from that era. You'll get away with it for a considerable amount of time until you don't. I have a 12 gauge over there. You seen that drop, that falling block 12 gauge that's hanging on the front of Caleb's bench over there? Doesn't have
yeah.
What's funny about that is it started to split slowly, and people have pounded it back in and welded it, and then it splits again because it wasn't rated for black powder.
It's the thing about exceeding pressures. This is where those old timers come in. Oh, I've done this for this many years, and my gun hadn't blown up. Well, you forgot to put the word "yet" in there. You do not have exceeding a pressure does not always end in immediate catastrophic failure. What happens is when you start exceeding that pressure threshold, you are putting more tension on there, and you start getting like microfractures down the metal. That's like that one kid that was on YouTube that was shooting Trail Boss in his 1858 Remington. Yeah, he shot 2-3 cylinders full on camera. It may not blow on 2 or 3 cylinders, but I guarantee you he was putting enough pressure in there. He was getting microfractures in there. And at some point it will turn loose and will explode. So yeah, just because somebody says, oh, I loaded that and it doesn't work. Yeah, you exceed that too many times and you're going to be regretting it.
Yeah, the government, they found that what they were comfortable with was 18,000 PSI for smokeless 4570s in those trapdoors. The trouble was they were getting 1,200 feet per second instead of that 1,350 that they got with black powder. So that's why everybody, you can do more with black powder in a pressure range than you can with smokeless. Now, once you don't have that pressure range to deal with, more smokeless beats it.
I mean, if you want, and I'm not condoning it, but people have done stuff. The U.S. Army's done it. You can get a 30-40 Krag trapdoor.
They did that with 4 of them. They did that with 4 of them. You have to make one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have a lot more steel in the barrel.
That's true. Yeah, you had a little more metal there.
They made 4 of them, and they were like, that was like that old car from Cars. I can still race. That was the Trapdoor in 1898. We can still race, guys. One more time. I love that. That was actually 1894, 95. everybody was like, man, we're getting this new rifle, and here's the generals. They're like, we could put that new cartridge in that old trapdoor. Yes, we would never use it for more than tests. People say the trapdoor was obsolete when it was adopted. No, it wasn't obsolete when it was adopted, but in 1895, it was pretty obsolete. I'm telling you right now. Okay, a few more questions here. Did you ever get that picture, Dick?
It hadn't come in yet. Let me refresh the mail. Yeah, it hasn't come in yet. Did you send it through your phone, Sheldon?
Yeah.
Okay, it may take a little while. You might have to look on there and look in your sent emails. It may still be trying to send.
Let's see. Anybody know if the usual suspects are even making silverware IR rifles anymore? I don't think they are selling out quick. I don't think they are making repos anymore.
So the thing with the Italians is that they are making, but COVID really put them behind. Because they don't make just, today we're making 66s, tomorrow we're going to make 73s. It's like they make them in big lots for a couple months. So the one thing I've noticed is that 66 full-length rifles came in. They're on the market. There's a lot of them out there. 66 carbines haven't hit the market again yet. They're still out. But one thing that did pop up all of a sudden, and they're everywhere, is sharps. 74 sharps. Some of the Chiappa 63 sharps and 4570 showed up on Gunbroker, but a lot of 74 sharps have really started showing up. So they're going to be coming in waves. And depending on where they're at on making stuff, it may be a while before the next wave comes in. So yeah, it's one of those that, they're going to produce them, but they're going to take a while to get in.
Joshua Harris asked, did they make Schofield revolvers in 38? I have no idea. I don't think so.
I want to say they made a 3840, but I may be wrong.
Well, I mean, he says specifically the Schofield revolvers. So, well, if it's maybe just Smith & Wesson's, yeah.
Sure. I think they did. I think if you go Simron or Taylor's website, I think they used to have them.
Is he talking about replicas? Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Probably.
Yeah, replicas do make 38. Yeah, originally, I think
there was the pocket models were 38 Smith & Wesson.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, but the Schofield revolver, which is different than the Smith & Wesson.
Yeah, the specific Schofield.
I don't think so, because it's
45 Schofield, because they actually didn't make a whole lot of Schofields, to be honest.
Didn't you say they wound up in Fort Laramie, though? Where did they wind up?
No, some of them may have came through Fort Laramie. I can't remember.
Schofield was at Fort Laramie.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought I found where he was at Fort Laramie, and then I got told, no, he was never at Fort Laramie. So I've got to go back and look for that. Because I know I read at Fort Laramie.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Sheldon.
The email got blocked, so I had to resend it. That was the first.
You blocking Sheldon?
No.
Because he's not Prairie Apache Cheyenne.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man, I don't want to hear that again.
Kiowa.
You should have went in there and said, well, if you ain't going to give it to me, I'll just take it with your scalp.
You did tell him that. He said something about what they did to
the agent the agent at the Dakota agency in 62.
Yeah.
So
that's the one that Sheldon just sent to me.
Ooh.
I can't.
The horn hangs on the bag?
Yeah, I noticed that with a lot of native style bags is they there's not a lot of native style bags. It's like it's attached to the bag and it's really short.
Let me see if I can crop this right quick, and then I'll see if I can get it a little bigger.
Okay. If you go to the NMAI, you can find, stuff from all the tribes from South America, Central, North, Alaska. You can find it by people, and there's another museum that will let you actually, because that bag, it's on Natural History Museum's website. You can find that bag and some other ones. I saved those ones. One of them was said it was also surrendered by Sitting Bull's people. It was like those Eastern. I mean, it looks like one of those Eastern bags where it's just attached to like a belt, not like a strap around your shoulder, but it's like that red trade cloth tacked onto some buckskin.
Right.
So that's the top of the horn we're looking at there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where does this capper thing go?
It's right there on the strap.
Yeah, it's the thing that
Looks like a bunch of cactuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of see how that works. Yeah.
I don't. How does it work?
That's the same issue I had. It took me a while. And like I sat there looking at the picture for about 5 minutes. I figured it out. You see where like the little tines that come up. You put the cap there.
Yeah, the cap sits over the little tines.
Oh, okay. So it just holds it.
So
Okay,
you still
face
got
it
to take
down.
the cap off and put it on, but it holds it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think it'd probably be okay for like a quick skirmish, but like Duke said, if you're going to go out in the woods for a long time, it ain't gonna work.
If a tree branch knocks all your caps on the ground, that'd be heartbreaking these days.
It actually holds it pretty good because I made one and didn't attach it to a strap yet, but it holds it pretty good. Like you can flex it and it holds.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But I've noticed more and more that back then the tribes just bought powder horns. They rarely made them. If they did, I don't think they lasted long.
That horning was a whole business of its own. So
Yeah. Well, what was it? You told me of a reference of a guy that made one out of a buffalo horn.
Yeah, it was two leggings. He talked. I wrote this all down on a piece of paper in case I was ever invited on this again. And guess what? That paper's at home.
I guarantee you'll get another shot at it.
But yeah, he said he boiled the core out of a freshly killed buffalo, and the base plug was a piece of driftwood.
Yeah,
Because his brother, those two leggings, Crow. You can buy his book, but he says his brother bought an old flintlock and gave it to him. So.
Trying to think if
Then he talks. Then he talks about later getting himself a Spencer. He doesn't say Spencer, but says it shoots 7 times.
Right.
Off of one warrior who bought it but couldn't make it work. He got it to work once and that was it. So I don't think the guy figured out it was a lever. But he said he traded 50 buffalo robes for that thing.
Huh.
That sounds like it's about right. Yeah.
Like good. And even in the book, it says that Two Leggings mentions that in his day, 50 buffalo robes was about the going rate for a Spencer or one of the repeating guns.
Well, yeah, $40 was considered for a standard purchase for a Henry was $40.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and I think
that's over a month's wages.
in '68, Frank Gerard says he buys a Henry rifle for $80, but I think he was actually buying Winchester.
But you think about it, that's like a $3,000 gun today.
Yeah. But at that time, when he was buying that, I think he actually bought the Winchester because they were advertised as the improved Henrys very early on, that first batch to come out.
That's what I think Yellowstone Kelly bought, but he makes a distinct difference between that and the Winchester later.
Right.
Well, I think if Frank Gouard bought one when he was in Montana, he bought it with Goldfield prices.
This is true too.
You
Yeah.
bought it with what?
Goldfield prices.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Goldfield inflated prices. Yeah.
So that would be the $80, probably.
Yeah,
Because over in Fort Buford, Luther Kelly bought his Henry with a cartridge belt for $50 and a supply of ammunition.
Yeah, $40 was the going rate because that's what a Sharps rifle cost the government $30 in 1863. So those were not cheap guns by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Well, at least the inflation, can be in someone's favor because if you tan a buffalo robe nowadays, you could sell it for $1,200 to $1,600 depending on the condition.
One buffalo robe per Henry.
Yeah.
Nowadays. Oh, it's gone the other direction. Let's see. Joshua Harris. Texan 1836 said, I recently saw a Lamat revolver at auction. Claimed to be original. Grips were smooth and not checkered. Does that sound right? I don't know anything that much about them to know.
Read that one again. Sorry, I was looking at my phone.
Texan 1836 said, I recently saw a Lamat revolver. Whoops.
Oh, the Lamat question. Yeah. I couldn't tell you. I don't know on Lamats. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Joshua Harris asked, who makes a good 1897 Winchester pump shotgun? Winchester did. I kid you not. You unless you're going to buy a Chinese replica, you can buy an original long barrel 1897 for cheaper than a replica. That's a good one.
I got two.
I thought those Norenko ones weren't legal to sell in the United States anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wrong.
They came in and then they disappeared, but I know I bought two originals for the price of what I paid for one of those reproductions.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to watch out for the hammer slamming home on some of them.
Yeah, I got one that still has that problem.
They have to have that sear replaced on some of them because they've got a lot of years of slam fire. But yeah, originals are not that expensive. I mean, maybe a beautiful cut down if you want like an original riot gun or an original trench gun. Yeah, those are expensive. But an original full length one, a few years ago, you could buy one that was in workable condition for $500 or $600. I don't know what they are now, but it was not that expensive.
That 16 gauge you boys picked up for me was $200.
Yeah, but it had the slam fire issue.
Slam fire issue. And then I got that other one from you for $200. And I don't know what you paid for it to begin with.
We traded on that a little bit because you paid $200 and some holsters. I gave $500 for it originally, but that was years and years ago.
Right, but it had been redone too, so I need to re-blue it. It's kind of gotten a little rusty.
It's slick though. It was done up for cowboy action shooting.
I love that one. The only reason I put it back in the safe is because, like I said, it's been slowly rebrowning itself. I would like to get it back to blue. But that gun is so slick. I love that thing. And for a long time, I had it for my home defense shotgun because if I decided I needed to unload it or if I wanted to swap out the load, those two buttons on the side, it's so nice. You just push them and your magazine is empty.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty nice gun. We still have two long barreled ones here. Don't break them out and shoot it because I just don't shoot cartridge shotguns that much anymore. Need to. Josh, let's see. Jared 1860 said, any opinions on these carriers I've been hearing for Henrys /66s to convert 45 Colt to use the shorter 45 or Cowboy Special?
I would just stick with 45 Colts just because you do have to shave off like 9 thousandths off the side of the bolt.
Ooh.
And 45 Colt you can find a lot easier versus 45 Cowboy Special. Like I got 50 pieces of brass for it. 45 ACP size, or if you just want to run a shorter round, just go Schofield because it'll run. Just make sure your overall length is the right length, but I would just stick to 45 Colt.
What's the advantage again in one shell and the two?
Yeah, basically with that, I think with the 45 Cowboy Special, you basically get the original, was it 13 rounds out the carbine and 16 rounds out the sporting rifle?
Mm-hmm. That would make sense, I guess. I was going to say if it was a power issue, just download your 45 Colt.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And the whole reason why the Cowboys Action Special was made was for Cowboy action shooters.
Well,
So
you
I can
only
run
need
the light
if
loads.
you're doing it there, you only need 10 anyway, right?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I don't do that game.
I don't do it. They're a little.
Have
I
you
want to say
actually...
stitch countery.
Oh. Yeah. Doesn't work out for you, huh?
No.
Guns of the West. Dustin said my favorite single action army has had a finish nail in it for several years. Yeah, it does work. Joshua Harris getting Kerry Stottlemyre said Joshua Harris getting original 1897 or a Cimarron. Those are the only options. Do not buy an Norinco. They're dangerous and have been banned from import. Sabador, what size lodge did you decide to go with? Texan 1836 wants to know.
I'm thinking on the 14-foot one, but it's going to be a bit till I can afford it.
Yeah.
They're not. No one honors the trees no more, so I can't get that nor my suit.
Well,
My suit.
I know how we'll get him.
Well, we went there.
I just. I'm not being serious.
Try pulling that on Ted Turner's ranch.
So we all just need to pitch in and buy a TP for Salvador Lodge. I was gonna say something funny, but you blew it out of the water there. I was gonna say we should have a raffle.
Go to Yellowstone. Or Win Cave, it's closer to you.
Yeah. It's summertime, so all the TP prices are high.
Yeah.
I think once Crow Fair, all the powwows are over, they'll be back in pawn shops.
And you know, there is some truth to that. The time of the year for the market, like fall, great time to buy boats.
Mm-hmm.
A great time to buy reenactment gear too.
I know what we'll do. We'll have a raffle. We'll raffle Duke's eye, his glass eye.
You know, I could get hold of a glass eye. My uncle got a hold of one. I don't remember what the deal was, where he got that or how he got his hands on it, but he's got one.
Did he use it for that?
No, but I would.
He needs party tricks.
Let's see. Brandon Birch said, "What would be one of your dream reproductions be?" I have a fantasy idea: 1860 Henry Trapper chambered in 22 long rifle. Planning on building one up from you birdie parts. That's interesting. A reproduction dream gun. What would I like? I mean, I don't know. You got any guys?
Ballard?
Yeah. Interesting. Right now, a historically accurate Hawken that is 100% on the market available. Or even a historically accurate Lehman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lehman would be nice.
I mean, I'm not talking about kits or anything. I'm just talking reproduction, baseline price. Mm-hmm. Just buy it and it's right. I might take that back. I'd also like a 62 caliber Virginia iron mounted rifle to be on a baseline. Just
I would say, but
the Evans repeater is totally the one that would be my dream gun.
Yeah.
How come you shoot that old Evans, Joe? Well, it holds 28 rounds. And I'm not a very good shot. I'm going to town.
You just gotta sit there and watch it take about half hour to load it.
Doug Duke said the 66 was an improved Henry and was a Winchester. Rangers paid $40 for him.
Yeah, I think we've had this discussion before. But yeah, that first advertisement, they called them improved Henrys. It was, I think after a year, they put the Winchester label on the gun and on the advertisements. I mean, it was all Winchester all the way through. But I was thinking advertisement-wise, they called them the new or the improved Henry.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was the King's improved Henry.
That might very well be. Let's see. Mill Creek Range said, I'm working on one of my Winchester Model 73s. Definitely finding out someone a very long time ago had done something not so proper gunsmithing on the old girl. I'm getting a lot of learning. Hardy said, post-Civil War, the poor sodbuster who still uses a muzzleloader, would they have been more likely to use a powder horn or a flask?
Post-Civil War, I mean, flasks, by the time the Civil War comes around, flasks are really becoming the main thing. You still see powder horns on the market, especially out in the West on for trading posts and such, trading to the natives. But flasks were definitely becoming a thing.
It's another one of those regional things. Like Saboteur is going to tell you, the natives still do it. Poor mountaineers in East Tennessee, they still going to have those Southern-style banded horns for a long time. Yep. But you're going to see a lot of guys who actually, just because it's right at the end of the Civil War, doesn't mean the muzzleloader is obsolete. Everybody still has them for a few years. I mean, unless you're a very specialized person that's going to go buy a Henry, your average person's still shooting a muzzleloader. So, yeah, the flask for your average person would be the thing from about 1840 forward. Didn't they tell you that Fort Bent's 1840 was, or Bent's Old Fort, 1840 was the cutoff date for using the horn?
Oh, no, it was that one horn that I traded you.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't use that because it had a 1812 era
gotcha.
brass spout on it. And I do have a book. Let me go get it. I'll be right back. Oops.
No, just real quick. I have on my or someone sent it to me on Facebook because he uploaded to Facebook and they took it off because it had prices on there. But it's a catalog from 1880, like two of them, like 1880s. For $18, you can buy a million 5070.
Oh, wouldn't that be so nice today when we're paying $9 a piece for empty brass? That sounds like a Bannerman special deal right there. That would be so sweet.
Yeah, it says Bennett primed.
Bennett primed, internal prime, copper stuff that's been sitting around for 40 years at that point.
It says like 1880, mid 1880s, so not even 20 years?
20 years, yeah. Yeah.
Then that same page, it has a 58 Remington conversion. It says 45 Colt centerfire. Didn't know they had those. I know they had 45 conversions back. It says Colt centerfire.
In a Remington gun, though, you said?
Yeah, and a 58 conversion.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, same here.
Learn something new every day.
But yeah, I saw a 5070 thing, and I was like, "Oh, Gary didn't like that one."
Yeah, I would like that one. That sounds awesome. Here's a good question. Alpine Gulch asked, "What did they use to hunt bear?" Now, I think you better preface this by setting in a time period here. So let's just say, since we're talking Civil War era, dude, what did they use to hunt bear?
A big caliber gun.
The Diary of the Trapper. He talks about having to shoot his 58 caliber and hit a bear 3 times before it died.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, go ahead, Sheldon.
Well, I was gonna say on the Cass City forums, there's a little page. They're talking about California rifles, and that's the like muzzleloader specifically made for a California, market. No big difference today. But they were mainly 60 caliber, and that's what they used to take out those California grizzlies,
Yeah, yeah.
like 62 or more.
And if you're talking about black bears, what was it? David Crockett killed like 250 in a year with a 40 caliber muzzle-loaded rifle. So you don't have to be too big again for black bear.
I mean, if you read Luther Kelly's memoirs, his little autobiography, he kills a few like black bears and cinnamon bears with a 44 Henry, but he also gets one with a 40 Sharps.
40 Sharps. I wonder what that cartridge looks like.
Probably 4070 neck or 4090.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I heard they really foul up, but if you want one of those cartridges, you really got to reload and make brass.
Yeah, I bet you that brass don't last very long either.
Or I think it was a Grizzly got with that 4090.
That'd still be quite the round.
Yeah, I think it was more like a flat shooting because it was big powder charge behind a smaller diameter bullet.
Yeah.
All he says is 40 caliber Sharps.
That'd be interesting to read. I know the 44 caliber Sharps. I bet you they did because they had 38s and everything else. So, Kerry Stottlemyre said the Cowboy Special was created to keep people from double charging a 45 Colt with a dense powder. Olden Crow said, has anyone tried drilling a military heritage flintlock touch hole with a hand drill without a drill press? Yes, it's difficult. If you mean like electric hand drill, yes, I've never tried to do it with like a bit and brace. It's a little bit difficult, but it's doable. To keep it straight, put it in a vise. Mill Creek Range said, check out the NCOWS National Congress of Old West Shootist. They shoot more from back in the day, unlike SAS. SAS is a fantasy cowboy action shooting. Let's see. Doug Duke said, King's patent was the loading gate, and Duke is correct. Jared 1860 said, from what I can gather, 45 Special can be loaded to 44 Henry ballistics with a 200-grain bullet, of course, but no filler needed. Saw the carrier on the range, but I'm not too sure of those guys. Yeah, you can do it with 45 Colt regular, though, too, because we've done it with Duke's Henry. Put it down to a 200-grain round-nose bullet, loaded it with, 28 grains of powder, something like that.
And hopefully here I'm going to be making some non-functional reproduction Henry bullets. Because I found out that that and 44 Smith & Wesson American were very similar. Really similar. Like you probably could have shot the 44 Smith & Wesson out of a Henry, split a case, but you could have done it. Provided it was all rimfire. I don't remember. But yeah, so me and Garrett's brother are working on getting that kind of squared away so I can make some reproduction bullets for the reproduction boxes. They're going to be as close to spec as I can get.
We're pretty
I
well
think with
caught
the
up.
44, I think with the 44 American, it was just Smith & Wesson made the Americans and 44 Henry first, and then their Army wanted center fire. So,
right,
why not just add a center fire to the Henry case, and there you go.
Well, it's stepped up just a touch. The 44 Russian is.
The 44 Russian kind of came later.
Yeah, but we were talking. Ethan and I were talking about this. That when you think about 44 Henry, the cartridge power, think about the fact that 44 Russian was a step up from that, and 44 Special was a step up from 44 Russian. So there's two steps of power there, lower supposedly.
Because I think Forgotten Weapons has one video, and it's someone has and it was like a nickel plated 66 that someone did like a conversion to shoot 44 American, and and then Winchester, I guess they did it, but there's always that 12 or 1300 they sent in like 1898 to Brazil.
Yeah,
but you find other center fire conversions before the 1890s. So
yeah, didn't say that. I want to say there was some. Was there not a conversion to 4440 in a couple of those?
No, the carrier is too short for 4440.
Okay, gotcha. So that was not right.
But yeah, I know this one guy on Cass City. He had a '66 musket. He converted to centerfire. He made an Uberti bolt fit, and the barrel diameter was like 430, 429, and he said a 44 Russian case just slipped right into the chamber and it fit and everything. So he shoots 44 Russian out of his.
Huh. That's interesting. What are you working on there, dude?
Oh, I was looking for a book that I have on powder horns. I don't know where the book went to. Because I was going to show that brass one because they were kind of, like I said, War 1812 era. But then I found a bunch of books I forgot I had.
Hardy, yeah. Oh, yeah, I actually have that one. Hardy wants to know if you can do more talking about those boxes you have there, those period correct boxes. Where'd you get them? He wants to put his ammo in period correct boxes.
Oh, these, I get them on eBay. I can't remember who the guy is that sells them. But if you go reproduction Henry cartridge boxes, they'll pop up. The guy offers like just about everything. Currently, I've got an order for Richards Mason conversion, the Army conversion boxes, and then I've got one for 45 Colt because I want a box to go with my 45 Colt. So if I do later 1870s, but I got these. These are reproduction of the early Henry boxes, and the reason I went with this particular style is that they can be opened up. You can put them in there. The other ones you can open them up, but they've got a label that goes around, and you have to tear that label to open them. I've got one of those too. I have actually 3 of this particular one. One of them was in my pocket at Fort Larned, and I forgot about it. And I leaned down on that jacket and crushed it.
Makes them more authentic.
Yeah.
Ethan has both of those in the Smith & Wessons, too. He has one in 44 American, one 44 Russian. I think he has the ammo that goes in them, too. But
the one that I got for the 45 Colt is the same style as this, so I can put bullets in it. I just need to make some copper-plated 45 Colt.
I got some of his, and I also found 2 at one of the gun shows. Yeah. The reproductions, but I want to get some of his Spencer ones.
Yeah, and I've got one of those too. I forgot I have one of those too. Oh, we lost Garrett. Nah, that's all right. He cuts in and out. Oh, he's grabbing something. That's what it is. But anyway, yeah, these boxes are. I want to turn my light off here so it doesn't glare them out. These boxes are really close. I mean, as close as you can get to what the original boxes were. He takes the measurements and everything. Made out of chipboard, paper wrapped, and then he prints the labels with high quality labels. Yeah, Garrett's got a nice one there.
This one is original and it's still full. Right. That's a 41 rimfire.
Yeah, do not bring that to Fort Larned.
I don't intend to, no. The sad thing is I went through about 20 of these and they didn't work. I tried to shoot them. Some of them do, some of them don't. I
think, for a bit there, I kind of got nerdy and learned a lot about the 44 Henry.
Sounds like it. So, what was the first load and what was the end load?
I think it was like 216 round nose with like 25 grains of powder. And the last one was 200 grain with that 28 grains.
So you think they would just went up 3 grains then? Okay, I thought they went up more than that. I didn't know.
There's that one article. It was a magazine article, and someone said, and the gun writer, I don't remember who it was. I don't remember. I think if you type in 1860 Henry review, you'll find it. Mm-hmm. But he says it was originally loaded with 13 grains of powder. I was like reading
I did read that article, and that was why in my head I was like, 13 grains of powder and a 200 grain bullet isn't even close to a squirrel rifle. Like,
I know somewhere in between they had like a 225 grain. I think that was during Civil War, 1860s time.
Yeah.
The one I was curious about, and I want to buy the book, but that other book I have that just has excerpts from different ones. There's
Seems
a
like
English. Oh, that's a good book.
Seemed like he was claiming 900 feet per second for the 216 grain bullet in the Civil War. Maybe I'm wrong.
Probably.
Like I don't remember. I just remembered I wasn't impressed with that art. With the ground, but
I wasn't.
Article wasn't right.
The pictures are nice.
But
this one Englishman, I can't remember his name, but he came out west like when he was like his early 20s. Had a ranch in Colorado, then he had a ranch in New Mexico. But he talks about how him and a couple other people were gonna go kill a grizzly that was raising heck with the ranches. Mm-hmm. And he says he had a 16 shooter Winchester with and he loaded it in the chamber with a special cartridge that had like a copper tube in the bullet. So I don't know if he made that. Yeah, I don't know if he made it or something. No.
Huh. So it didn't have to feed, so you could get more power?
I think so.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I've often wondered how they do that because I've been reading about the 1866 trapdoors, proof testing them with a 500 grain bullet and 200 grains of powder. And I'm like, I don't know how you got that in there.
They probably put like a casing in the chamber and then poured the powder down the barrel.
Yeah. That very well could have been.
Yeah, I think that's what Colt did when they want to test test fire or proof fire their percussion guns. But I can't confirm it, so don't quote me on that one.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That would be an interesting because you always hear about them being proof for double charge, but then you never consider that that's way more than the cylinder will handle. But if they do it, that alleviates the cylinder gap, which I guess it's whatever works.
Well, maybe they had a gauge up and covered up that gap.
Could be. Cut the barrel a little shorter or something. That'd be interesting if they had like a cutaway barrel, like in front to simulate the cylinder gap in front of where the cartridge would have been. Mm-hmm. Or not cartridge, but the powder. Yeah, because they proofed every one of those 1860s and those early 1860s. Like in one day, they blew up 80 out of 90 of those fluted cylinder ones. And they were like, they reported back to Colt and they were like, sir, stop it right here. Because they would pop at the notch. They wouldn't actually pop in the flutes. Because the flute is the same distance to the edge of that flute as it is around the outside of that chamber wall. So the flutes make absolutely no difference really in making it stronger, but it was a square cut chamber at the time and they had very, very little amount of room between there and the cylinder stop notch.
Yeah. I have that, what's his name, Charles Pat book. Mm-hmm. And I got really fixated in the manufacturing process.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Charles Pate. I call him Pate. Maybe his name's Pat. Maybe I could have said it wrong the whole time.
I was going to say Pate, but that's cat food.
Yeah. No, I call him Charles Pate. Yeah. Charles Pate's 1860 Army book is out. It's better than Haven and Belden, at least in its narrower scope. But that is one of the best written Colt books ever. And I can see how you would get into the manufacturing when you start reading that thing.
Like one thing I was always curious about, and not really has to do with Charles Pate. But in Colonel Dodge's book, he talks about natives reloading the Bennett Prime casings and reusing packaging. But he's really the only one I know this. He talks about puncturing the base with the awl and fitting a percussion cap into it. Or he just says cap.
Well, it would work, I guess.
I have two 50-70 Bennett Prime cases, and I'm not going to try it. Those are only $5 each.
Yeah, I got one, but It would work because the cup's in there, the cup and the anvil.
Yeah.
So you could do it. It'd be interesting.
Like the other one was a little bighorn. They always say the natives reloaded 66 or 44 Henry.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed reading that Cassidy forum I talked about earlier was when a guy was, got his centerfire bolt in his original rifle when he it was just like a primed case, nothing with it. When he closed the lever and chambered the round, and he fed it back out. And this is going to lead into something else, but the firing pin was leaving a dimple on the primer without shooting it, and then I don't remember how he worked around it, but that made me think that a lot of the times when you see a double fire on a 66 or a 44 Henry, I think it's just that they loaded it and the firing pins got pushed up against it and it had enough to leave a dent. Because because that's why Winchester had the safety lever with the 73 was because I think if you racked the original 66 hard enough, you could just slam fire it.
It was that, but the government also on the Henry noted, especially when their ammo that people had bought up from the Civil War was trying to carry over about 3 years later, that they could not set a lot of that off in any, especially the Spencers or the Henrys in their rimfires, because it required a complete crushing of the rim. And by 4 years later, springs are getting weaker, ammo's getting worse. It's funny when you read about, because today, we have ammo that'll last forever.
Yeah.
But when you read about ammo in the 1800s, it's always like it's got like a 5-year lifespan and it starts doing weird stuff.
Yeah, mercury fulminate does not last a long time.
Yeah, and what they noticed was the way that they were spinning that into the rim, if they left it stacked in boxes with the boxes stacked up, that mercury fulminate would all go down to one side. I don't know how, but that's why the Sharps had way worse trouble with it than even the Henry. But that was what one man wrote. One of the guys who was testing it for the ordnance board wrote that it doesn't go off when you want it to go off, but when you don't want it to go off, it'll go off every time.
Okay.
And the thing is, the Henry had two. It actually had a double fire pin that hit twice. And that's why Henrys, a lot of times Henrys were preferred out here in the West because of that, because they hardly ever had misfires. One of those dimples is going to sit off the cartridge.
Yeah.
Whereas the
Spencers were terrible. The military was having fits with Spencers by 1868.
You could hit it and it wouldn't go off, but you rotate the case and then it'll go off.
Exactly, because all the fulminate's gone down to one side. Yep. And they also talked about how it costs 4 times more to make a rimfire cartridge because you have to have 4 times more fulminate.
Yeah.
Than you do in just the center.
I know that one guy. I really like this book. It just has excerpts from a bunch of other books.
Mm-hmm.
The one I showed you that talks about those 65s.
Yeah.
Rappers.
The encyclopedia of the.
Yeah. He talks he has another excerpt from this guy who goes into Wyoming with a 5650 converted Star carbine.
There you go.
He says a belt of ammunition, and that I don't have a Spencer. I don't have a 50 caliber cartridge gun yet, but it makes you want to have a cartridge gun in a 56 50 Spencer.
Yeah. That was I always forget about it because I called Duke up one day when I was studying for that last episode, and I was like, when in the world before 66 did they ever adopt a 50 caliber rifle for the military? And we were both like scratching our heads for a minute. And he's like, oh yeah, well 5650 is a 50 caliber cartridge. We forgot all about it in 1865. You don't think about it very often.
No.
And then, several of the carbines in the Civil War, there was a couple of them that were 50.
56? 50 caliber. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
50 caliber, yeah, because I want to say, I know Remington made a split breech that was in 5650.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wouldn't have been 5650 because 5650 did not exist until literally the last week of the war. because there was a lot of people at one point asking about these guns. This 65 Spencer carbines could have made it into the war because they're made like 3 weeks before the end of the war, some of them. And everybody's like, yes, but literally the cartridge did not exist until like 2 days before the war ended.
Well, I mean, the 5650 Remington didn't make a split breech because when I was up at Fort Phil Kearny, they were trying to auction one off.
Oh, so they made it after the war, you're saying?
Yeah, it was an after.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Not their. What was their standard Civil War split breech? I forget. It was in 50, but I think.
I can't remember.
I thought the split breeches didn't come out to 66.
That's right.
I didn't really look into it.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they had a Civil War split
because the split breech is the predecessor to the rolling block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Here.
I'm trying to think during the Civil War. Was it Burnside, the Burnside carbine? But that might have been after the war that they converted them to 5650.
I got to handle. Jocelyn. I got to handle a original Burnside. My dad, he came back with that and a double barrel shotgun. He says, said they were going through their old stuff before the police where I'm from, and he said they had that and a bunch of other old West guns that were given to the police force way back when. I got to play around with the old Burnside, but that thing, I have no idea how you'd convert that to. I don't think those are ever converted to any cartridge besides their little ice cream cone of death.
I want to say I thought because Burnside was producing. Was it Burnside that was on the Spencer production towards the end of the war?
Yeah, Burnside made. That's a Burnside Spencer down there.
Yeah,
he took over half production. But when you think about the conversions, they only converted 3 major types of. Well, there's a Miller conversion, some other stuff, but the guns from the Civil War that were used, they only had 3 major conversions, which was the Jocelyn, which they converted a lot of. There were a few other, odds and ends. They converted the Jocelyn, they converted the Springfields into the Trapdoors that we know, and the other one was the rolling block, which was funny because they took a bunch of 63 and 64 muzzle-loading rifles, cut the barrel off one side, cut the stock off the other, and put a rolling block action in the middle. Right. They call that the Model of 1868 rolling block. So those were your major conversions. But I was just looking here. It said the split breech came out in 1864.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that means it saw the Civil War or not.
They probably like the Zulovs.
Yeah. Set in storage until 1901 with the Rogers and Spencers and the Zouave rifles.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The 1863 pattern 50 caliber split breech carbine was a weapon used by the U.S. cavalry during the American Civil War. It was designed by Joseph Ryder and to use the same cartridges as the Spencer carbine. But the 50 caliber Spencer carbine.
I found the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Maynard carbine.
Now,
okay,
is there a conversion of Maynard's?
Yep.
That is. Let me run and grab my book right quick because I bet you I have a chapter on that. I just missed it. I'll be right back.
Man, the cavalry really was the experimental force for guns back then.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's funny in the Civil War is like the cavalry had so many varieties of guns, and the infantry had 1, 2, maybe 3. Yeah, they probably had a few more than that, but yeah, there was a lot of experimentation at that time. Yeah, got slow. Yeah, we figured that out. It was a Maynard is what I had in mind. I knew it was one of those where you throw the handle and the barrel goes forward. All right, I'll go through some of the comments here while Garrett is out.
Alrighty.
Looking here. I don't know where we left off on comments.
I don't know. I got carried away there. My bad.
We were basically done with comments outside of Brandon Birch asking what was the longest range y'all have been playing around with. I just fit a tang sight in my shop, 500 yards. Shoots fun. Between 300 and 600 is what I've been doing most of my shooting at.
When I was doing long range shooting, we took it out to a mile. Yeah, I took my 6.5 out to a mile. It'll reach out there. Yeah, most of the time, consistently we shot 1,000 yards, just under 1,000 yards.
Yeah, we forgot about the Sharps conversions.
Yeah, they were a little bit later though.
The Ward Burton conversion. Well, that wasn't really a conversion. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing the Maynard in here.
I still wouldn't mind a Sharps carbine, even if it's a percussion.
Where's that Jocelyn? It's right before all the rolling blocks. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize just how much we did adopt the rolling block. Yeah, we did. The Springfield Jocelyn conversions. Right at the end of the trapdoors.
The funny thing about the rolling block is that everybody says Remington's superior to the Colt. After the Civil War, Remington was about to go bankrupt and out of business and not exist. But they managed to sell that rolling block to foreign countries. And that is the only thing that saved them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they sold it to us, too. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Yeah, you're talking.
They sold it to the U.S. Army, but not enough quantities to keep the company afloat.
No.
If it hadn't been that's why you've got Egyptian rolling blocks, you got Argentinian rolling blocks, you've got Spanish rolling blocks, you've got all kinds of different countries that adopted these rolling blocks, and that was what was keeping Remington alive.
Yeah, we adopted 568, and then we adopted.
Wasn't there 1,000 that was adopted in 1870 when the cow?
They shut down the trapdoors and went completely to rolling blocks for a while.
Because
Sheridan's idea.
There was 1,000 Sharps.
It was
1,000 rolling blocks and 1,000 trapdoors made.
Well, in 1870 they made 5,000, and then the Navy adopted 10,000. And then the Army adopted 10,000 more of the 1871 rolling block. So, there's your 25,000 plus 1,000 of the 68s beforehand. Let's see. So, yeah, they got up there quite a ways. I mean, there's a lot of those New York State ones still running around today, even though they're not technically a part of those.
But, in 1870 for the cavalry carbine, they adopted 1,000 each of the Sharps, trapdoor, and rolling block for field trials, basically. I forget what units got what.
Well, they made a run of 312 of the trapdoors. I gotta
grab another book. I'll be right back.
Remington rifle musket. I'm looking right now because I know that I have it right here. The actual numbers on that.
I remember reading that during the buffalo harvest that you can get like a military sharpened rolling block for cheaper than the sporting ones, and you can get the shells for cheaper too. So it makes you wonder how many of those buffalo hunters went out with military.
A lot of them.
There is a picture of. It's one of the 1870s buffalo hunts, and the guy has a Sharps carbine.
Yep. Just tons from the rolling block rejects that didn't go overseas, and the ones that stayed here that they surplus. Basically all the 66s, trapdoors were back in there. There was a lot of them because they were just so much cheaper than those sporting rifles. They were selling those 66s for $2 a piece. So,
I don't know if you can buy them for that price nowadays.
yeah, no kidding. I'm still trying to see how many of those carbines they made.
It was like that picture I sent you, Garrett, where the agent up in Crow Agency asked for like what million needle rifle cartridges.
Yeah, that was in those books.
Yeah, it's 1872, so $2 a rifle.
Okay, here we go. The cavalry regiments. This is in 1871. Cavalry regiments received 259 model 1870 Springfield carbines and 1871 field trials, in addition to 150 Remington half-cock, 94 Remington full-cock, and 1,256 Sharps carbines. The next year, 150 Ward Burton bolt-action carbines were also issued to the cavalry, all in 50 caliber. Only the Springfield carbines were ever issued in quantity, and these several years later.
Well, that
experimented arms, Lieutenant Charles Larned of Company F, 7th Cavalry wrote, whenever the arms were in the hands of men, it was noticed that the piece that seemingly required the least attention and manipulation of loading was the government Springfield carbine. For rapidity of fire, there seems to be little choice between the Ward Burton and the Springfield, both of which excel in that respect. The Remington, as their facilities for ejecting cartridges, are superior to those of the latter.
Now that's pretty interesting numbers there, because I know they made over 312, and I know 20 of them went to Texas. So I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, I believe
this one, this guy, I mean, he's got all he's got a lot of the records.
Yeah, who is that guy?
Records. This is Randy Steffen, and it's the Horse Soldiers.
Got you. Okay. Well, I'm probably looking at numbers made and not numbers shipped.
Yeah, then it gets into the Colts. Yeah, see, and they sent in 1,000 of the Colts for altered for metallic cartridges. And limited quantities of Smith & Wesson's model 1869 single-action Army model.
Yep. Total production of 341 U.S. model 1870 carbines were initially made for field trial of 1871, with another 20 produced during the first part of 1872. These last few were supposedly shipped to the San Antonio Arsenal as replacements or for sale to the officers. Conflicting records exist. Both versions have their flaws. In any event, no specimen is known to the author, which can definitely be proven to have come from the latter group of 20. Okay, so it's both wrong. But yeah, I'm sure they held a few back that didn't go into.
Right. Oh, heck, Sheldon, you've asked me about cartridge belts and stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, Anson Mills began that process in 1866 of making cartridge belts.
Okay. Because I mean, I've heard he was like the biggest proponent for cartridge belts, but
and then later on he devised the cloth one, and Garrett's got one of them.
I got
one of the cheaper ones.
Yeah, I got one right there.
Yeah, because here it talks about the copper or the acid and the leather acting on the copper shell for the splinters. And good Lord, he was submitting the cartridge belts to the Army Equipment Board from 1866 to 1879.
Yep. I remember reading that because they didn't start getting full-on adoption until after 68.
Yeah.
But there's so many different variations that he brought out, because you got the sliding one. He had hand in that. You know, the one that just goes on your belt and slides.
The Hazen loop. Yeah.
Then he had the Prairie belt, and then they had the standard Webb Mills belt. And then you go into all your, why can I not think of his name?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I can't remember.
I was going to say, because I remember reading that when they were talking about the troops making their belts, saber belts, they said they were making them like the mountaineers and frontiersmen. So, and that was like I don't still remember the date on that one, but it just makes you wonder when they first start making because 66 is probably the earliest day I see, or since Duke said that.
Yeah, but they definitely weren't. Because in 66, they were making these cotton lined things that went in the tin boxes. And they were
Right.
sheep lining the insides of or sheep skin line the insides of the cartridge boxes. They had wood and they had sheep fleece in there, everything they could do to keep those rimfires from going off. In 67, at both the hayfield and the wagon box, they were just using their cartridge boxes with inserts. And when they got into the fight, they just dumped them basically into their hats. And so you start seeing it after that, but I'm not sure if a Prairie Belt ever showed up for 5070 like in that era. Do you know of it? Like adoption?
What's that? The 50 what?
Like a Prairie Belt, did it ever show up for a 5070 in the 5070 era?
According to this, Mills was playing around with it.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, as far as getting an actual adoption out.
Oh, actual adoption, no. But yeah, the soldiers would take and modify them regularly. You see that quite often because field gear, soldiers weren't as much held to regulation in the field, depending on your commanding officer. It was only on garrison duty that everything had to be spick and span. So you go to the company saddler, give him a couple bucks, and he could make an extra belt that had the loops on it for you, stitch them on there. And that's seen quite a bit in the records.
Well, I've even heard and read accounts of them being encouraged to go to private dealers and buy
that too.
Leather belts. That was before Little Bighorn. After Little Bighorn, that was gone.
When you look at it, the pouches that they had to hold cartridges didn't hold that many cartridges.
And they spill when you go into prone.
So in the 1870s, you had the Dwyer pouches, you had the 72 and the 74. You can only get like 10 45-70s in those things. And then they had, I don't remember what the name was. It's cartridge hanger number 3 or 4 or something like that. It held a handful of cartridges. It held a little more than what the other pouches were. Then you had the McKeever and you had the Hazen loop. The only time you see those with regular use is in garrison duty.
Don't forget the Metcalf attachment.
Yeah, there's the Metcalf.
Put on the side of the gun.
There was the Frazier cartridge box. And there's lots of prime examples of that from the New Jersey National Guard because I don't think New Jersey ever used anything that they were issued.
Nope. They have the I find it funny because I did this research on New Jersey the other day for Shot Shula for a gun he had, and I was in Bud Waite's book, and he was talking about, it's actually page 93, I remember it off the top of my head, but he was talking about the 1916 sale of the New Jersey trapdoors. They were sold in, what did he call it, reasonably good condition, and what that meant was the bores had never been fired, but the doors were loose from 30 years of constant inspection.
Yep. Well, the Gatling gun we had up there at Fort Laramie, where it's still there at Fort Laramie. That one was in New Jersey National Guard. It was originally supposed to have been adopted by the Navy, and the Navy never took them. And so that one wound up in the New Jersey National Guard. There was only 16 model 1876 Gatling guns made. And that one, it's got NJ all over it. But yeah, it's like when you look up like that Frazier cartridge box, the only ones that exist were ones that were in the New Jersey National Guard.
They're still there. I find it funny, just one more thing about that. In that 1916 sale, they sold 32,000 New Jersey National Guard guns for 75 cents a piece through the CMP.
Dang.
Like never fired, but the door hinges were all wore out from thousands of times of being thrown open and inspected.
Yep.
Let's see. We got some comments here now. Is there evidence the Zouave rifle made it out west after the Civil War? Not to my knowledge. Now, there were some that seemed to show up for an alligator hunting company in Florida, of all things, but the rest of them, seemed to set in storage until about 1901, as far as I know. I could be wrong, but that's what I remember off the top of my head. You know anything about it, Duke?
The which one?
The Zouave, the 63 contract, Harper's Ferry pattern.
Yeah, I don't know much on that one.
Let's see. Glass Loco said, I picked up an 1871 New York contract rolling block a few weeks ago. The main selling point was the 5070 it came with. I would say the rifle was free with the ammo came with it. Yeah, that's one of those Allen blocks. It has ejection, which was a big deal. Go ahead. Sorry, Sheldon.
Oh, I was gonna say one rifle I remember seeing was it I think it was the 1868. Anyways, a 5070 trapdoor and a 73 stock that I think they found at a battlefield or something.
Yeah, it was probably the 68 or the 70. That makes sense. They have the same style of receiver. That was the most common trapdoor. The 68 was definitely the most common trapdoor in native hands. Like if you especially go down in the Southwest, they are everywhere down there during those fights. But yeah, I can't wait to do the episode on the 68 because we get to talk about some of those. Everything from the Modoc War to the Apache Rhea.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Louisiana Gray said the 22 reload program. Let's see. Let's look for questions here, guys. Doug Duke said in 1874, the 5070 belt was soldier-made belts. 5070 belt was soldier-made belts. I have a couple of pictures of Rangers wearing them. Oh, that's interesting. Kenny O said 1868 trapdoor video coming soon. Just got one and would love to know more about them. Give me about a month. We got one more big video coming out for 4th of July. I have to have 3 variations of that gun. Jake has one. I have one right now. I just bought the other one, so it should be here in the mail in a couple weeks. So I'd say toward the end of July, I'll have that out. Jeremy P. said, my local box store is selling Wagyu beef lard with lard and beeswax to make a bullet lube. It would, but it would go rancid, I think. You think, Duke?
Yeah, you got to use lamb's tallow because lamb's tallow doesn't go as rancid as bad. Otherwise, beef tallows, other tallows just go rancid and it's not as nice.
It turns green in a hurry. I can tell you from experience.
I have some I made out of buffalo tallow.
Did it ever go rancid?
It's been sitting in the fridge for about a year.
Oh, okay. It's refrigerated. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, they always talk about
I think
bear grease.
It's in it because I found a little cake of it that I forgot I had, and it looks like it's been sitting out and it doesn't. It looks like that one's still good. Yeah.
Well, I know given about a year, you won't want to open a bag of bullets that are lubed with beef tallow. Believe me, I found one behind my couch in a zipped up Ziploc bag once and unzipped it. It was pretty nasty. Oh. Yep, we're out of comments, boys.
All right. Yeah, we can run her here for another 7 minutes or so.
Well, when you read Colonel Dodge's book, he talks about all kind of things that he says the natives were doing, and he worked basically all over the plains. So mainly just talks about Plains Indians.
Right.
He says that it was common for them to make their cartridge belts out of like buckskins and stuff. I've never seen. I mean, obviously not every warrior back then was interviewed, but it seems like they were more common just to buy them. Kind of like how there was more common for them to buy the powder horns.
Right.
I still think that most interesting, and this is Michael Badhand. He said in the early fur trade days, some of the traders experimented with iron shields and bows. I don't know about the bow part, and then you have that one warrior who got killed in 1820s or 30s, and he had a chainmail shirt.
And that was
So
that. Huh? Didn't work out
so
for him.
he borrowed it from a guy who actually owned it. So,
Hmm.
but that and like the cartridge belt thing I mentioned earlier is like there's all that stuff that never can't that you just don't really have an origin to.
Hmm.
Right.
Jeremy P had a question that I missed up here. Louisiana Grave remind us down there. Anyone make percussion caps at home with the kit that punches them from aluminum cans?
No.
I know Snapper does it. He said it is one time-consuming process.
I
I
made paper cartridges with Guns of the Old West kit, and after my first 10, I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm good.
Oh, they're great. I mean, the kit is wonderful. I love the
It
kit.
is it's a great kit. It
I
just
just hate sitting there rolling them things. And Ethan does it for the Brown Bess and the Charleville's all day long. He's always like, paper cartridges, paper cartridges, paper cartridges. I'll just roll my own in the gun. Thank you.
it is like those big musket cartridges. I don't mind rolling them. They're not that bad. But them little pistol cartridges drive me nuts.
Oh, yeah.
I break them, I tear them left and right, and then trying to load them in there, I'm always tearing them and stuff. And it's just I finally lost patience and I just quit doing it. It's like Justin sent me a free cartridge maker set to try out for video. I never did that video because I can't make them.
they were nice. One thing I found out is I can't load them in my second gen Colt because of the step in the cylinder.
Yeah.
I was trying my I was trying to get that conical bullet to get in there. It hit that step and that was it. And it was still poking out by maybe a little bit.
That's when you got to get the file out or the pocket knife, just whittle the front off.
I've done that before. I've actually, I think it was on my Pieta Navy. I overloaded the chamber to see how much I could squeeze in there, and I couldn't get the ball down there, so I got the ball peen very gently. That was loud.
We tried putting a full 51 Navy charge into the what is the name of that one? That little Confederate revolver weapon out. The Spiller and Burr.
Oh, yeah.
And we tried setting that conical on that, and we've been through loading lever. Because then we found out that little gun doesn't take the full 51 Navy charge and conical too well. It's kind of a small gun.
I think that second gen Colt I took down to Larned. The barrel's Uberti, the plunger bit is Uberti, but the actual creeping lever is a Pieta because I bent my Uberti one.
Oh, you bent a creeping loading lever? That's pretty impressive. You think you'd bend the little nubbins?
No, the lever bent.
I have never actually seen that. That's impressive. I've seen it done a lot on the old style loading levers.
I was trying my mightiest.
You had her set in a stand like Jake trying to load that full 50 grains and a 260 grain conical in his walker.
I mean, according to that well-known NRA guy, you load 90 grains in a walker.
You can't. You load 90 grains, man. 90 grains, yes, sir. According to Phil Schreier. And people always like, you're taking him out of context. No, we're not.
He said it.
He said it. And then the one I love is, well, you guys don't understand. Original walkers had bigger cylinders and chambers than replicas. Not that much bigger.
I mean, didn't they use the same machinery to make the Dragoon cylinders?
Well, yeah, they just cut it down quarter of an
Yeah.
inch.
I mean, I know he's not here, but if Snapper wants, you could probably get like a telescopic gauge.
Oh, yeah, he did that. We did that a complete measure across the Uberti, an original Dragoon, and a Uberti original Dragoon, and my second gen Walker. And outside of the depth of the Dragoon, all of them were within like 10 thousandths of each other size-wise.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it was no.
You know, I suppose somebody back in the day that was going through alcohol withdrawal trying to load their pistol probably would have got 90 grains because they'd been saying
40 grains of it on the ground. Let's see. Who's talking in here? I don't see any more questions. Doug Duke said, sorry, I meant the 5070 handmade cartridge loops on a sword belt. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about. He had me a little confused there. Yeah, I got you. Oh, yeah, there's lots of interesting, because 5070 covers so much more ground than just the trapdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the sharps. Man, I'd love a McNally Sharps carbine. I just can't afford it.
Yeah.
And when I started talking about buying one of those, and Jake went out and bought one, an original, not a McNally, but an original. I just kept thinking, I'll go visit him someday and shoot his. Are you boys getting ready to call it?
Yeah. Get her ready here pretty quick. Do we get through all the comments?
Yeah, Vaquero Joel, they're just talking back and forth with me and each other. Vaquero Joel said, gents, it's been great. I've got to go catch the parts I missed tomorrow. Have a great evening.
Okay. I keep forgetting this is my show this week.
Well, that's probably because I'm out here over talking you.
No, you're good. You're good. I've been kind of got distracted by the books that I forgot I had.
I keep wanting to run over there and grab my Indian cartridges and belt box and saddle boots books from the Indian Wars, and it's not here. It's over at the other place.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it shows you how much I have to do because I'm at work.
Oh my goodness. That's how you get all this studying done, huh?
Yeah, basically. You should have seen it when I was doing the beadwork for the stripes for my shirt. I didn't get those done, by the way. But,
yeah, I was hoping to see that bright blue war shirt at Fort Larned, and we never got to see it.
I didn't want to turn into Papa Smurf.
Yeah, I was about to say it was turning everything else that was around it blue, too. But that's okay. I come home, the inside of my suspenders were red. That stuff bled off.
I've
next time.
Seen that happen, yeah. Made the mistake, and one time when I was working at Benson, I washed a couple white shirts and wasn't even thinking, and I threw a blue vest in there with them. I don't know what shade of purple that was, but I got a lot of grief saying it looked like I was wearing a women's shirt.
I'm hoping that I wash that shirt a few times. It won't do that to my South Union Mills vest.
Yeah. But no, anything red, bright red, oh, man, that dye rubs off on everything. Speaking of South Union Mills, I'm about ready to put in an order for a sack coat.
You too? I'm so close. I'm just waiting for Snapper to buy a rifle from me.
I was thinking about ordering one of their army blankets.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
I want a sack coat and I want a great coat, and I can't afford both.
Which sack coat are you getting so I don't get the same one?
I'm just getting a 19th century one.
So you're getting the mid-19th century black one that they have on?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get it in black, but I'm going to get it. I'm still torn because I wear too much plaid when I order those things. So it's like I'm really torn between dark blue, brown, and their what they call number 3 plaid.
Okay. Now, did you see they have that same coat offered with the trim?
Yeah, I'm not going to go with the trim. I'm not going to get that fancy. I was thinking about, I'm still contemplating having them put the black velvet on the collar. But I'm just so torn on what color to get it in. Just don't go straight black, because I think that's where I'm going with. It's just a straight black. And we don't the only
want
thing I got against black is go to wear that in the summertime and when you're reenacting, it's going to get hot.
It's gonna be more for the winter time. I'm gonna probably make a linen sack coat for the summer stuff.
Yeah.
Must be nice being able to buy like 90% of your stuff.
We don't have a Lakota version of the South Union Mills, do they?
They got the trade cloth. That is.
You know what? You need a top hat.
I was thinking about buying a Hardy hat.
Oh yeah.
You should get a Hardy hat and then cut it with a bill to look like the kepi.
You know, if I buy a Hardy hat, it's gonna break my heart doing that.
They're not too cheap. Last I looked.
Yeah, they aren't cheap.
Yeah, because it breaks my heart anytime I have to buy something and modify it.
Yeah, why can't
That's
they
why
do
when
this for me?
that's why when Duke says he puts highlighter in his books, I'm like, why?
Well, I know I'm never gonna sell the books.
Yeah, well, I can't. I just can't bring myself to do that. So.
And I try to not. It's like a lot of my books over here have got sticky notes put in them. I just take sticky notes and I trim them off, and then I write on the part that's sticking out of the book what I was looking at in there, and I put it right on that paragraph. But yeah, I have a habit of highlighting books, and a lot of times it's a book that's not like high quality. Now, if it's a brand new book, I don't highlight it if I can avoid it. But the problem with buying used books, I've noticed too, is like the Beecher Island book. When I got it, it was full of highlight marks. I don't know what the guy was looking for, but holy Moses, he's got everything highlighted.
At least it's still readable. You just have to put a different color highlighter.
But some of the things he's highlighted, I want to highlight too.
Well, he did it for you.
Yeah. So,
like last night, I got that TP bag made and it holds all my clothes. That's nice.
Hey, there you go.
But I was looking at it like, man, no, I don't want to do the beadwork on it now. It's sewed up.
Louisiana Gray's hoping he gets a Tales of the Trails podcast next week, dude.
Yeah, we will. I'm working on it. I got through December 6th fight, and I've just kind of got a bit of writer's block because I'm trying to figure out what to write next.
Oh, don't worry. Nothing big's going to happen on the 21st.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I got to do. I got to get through the Fetterman fight, but I wanted to talk at some before I get into the Fetterman fight. Talk about the natives prep, what they were doing. I want to talk about that story of the medicine man, that comes back with 100 in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to buy that Indian Views Fetterman fight book.
Yeah, I just got the Monet. That was one of the things I was waiting on. Let me grab that right quick.
Because that book, like the one thing that like almost everyone agrees I fought was all the Lakota and all the Cheyennes. There was no leader.
Right. They're just kind of.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one you talking about?
That one.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a big reason I stalled. And I stalled after December 6th because, I really want to get this book. And I bought it used, and it come in basically brand new.
It's that feeling when you're about to make a big video, and you're like, when I'm done with this video, I want there to be nothing left that someone else can say.
Yeah. And, oh, God. I'm going to talk about it. I'm just going to talk about it as soon as I look at this. But, yeah, there was a Fetterman fight podcast that came out here very recently. I wasn't happy with it.
Did it have okay in the name of the title?
Say no more.
I kind of listened to that, and I kind of got the same impression, and I ain't very smart.
The only thing that surprised me was I recognized some of the songs he used in there. Like, hey, I know those.
That was the other thing I've been doing too. Is I've been trying to plan on the thing. I was looking on YouTube to try to find some Native American music that was not going to hit me with a copyright strike or anything.
They got it copyrighted up.
Everything. Everything.
I think honestly, majority of it. Like I know the Sitting Bull College, they recorded a bunch of old songs that were recorded by the Warriors that lived back then, by that Densmore. Like they
Okay,
had the wax cylinder, the Densmore and wax cylinders, and they re-recorded it. There's one song in there I've been trying to learn, but a lot of the words are like real short, so you have to. But they say it wait really fast, so I have to work on it.
Well, I tell you what, if
And
you
I
feel
get
like singing one,
and the one I'm trying to learn, I guess that one was a popular war song during like 60s, 70s era, because especially the 70s. But it was like a popular war song that almost every warrior knew, I guess.
right. I was trying to find, and I was looking on there, and I found a couple of them that I like. But I was trying to find one of the war songs that was a slower paced. Because there's one on there. There's like 15 different people that own the rights to it on CDs, and it's the same song, but they're really fast paced. And I didn't want to go with a fast pace because I wanted the slower pace to kind of go along, so that as I'm reading off, it kind of flows better together. Found out with fast paced songs and you're talking slow, things don't flow well.
Well, just for reference, Duke, no one can tell who's singing it, so.
Oh man,
I'm glad you can say
you two were war hooping more than I was down in Kansas. So.
This is true.
Oh man.
Oh, but yeah, I kind of wanted to put one of those in there because the idea that I had was, like I said, I'd be talking about native side of things leading up to it, and I wanted to have native background music in there.
Yeah. The one I would avoid is the flag song. That's like 20th century song, so I would avoid that one.
Yeah.
Literally, all I can ever find is like a generic Farby drum beat. That's what I use because it's the only thing I can find.
But
well, after this, I can send Duke because the Single College they uploaded the songs to YouTube for you to listen to, and like I said, one I've been trying to learn. Well, I can send Duke them so you can see which one I'm talking about.
Okay. Yeah, send me that. And then we'll see what I can get worked out. But anyway, I'm pretty soon here. We will get the next episode for Tales of Trails. I just got to go through this and kind of pick some things out on there. Because this is the only eyewitnesses to what happened that day. The soldier accounts are after the fact. So yeah, that's in the process. We'll be getting it done here. I'm hoping by next week. We'll see. And then, I'm going to leave it on a cliffhanger. I'm just going to tell everybody right now it's going to get left on a cliffhanger. It's going to end with Fetterman. And then the next episode will start up with Portuguese Phillips and then end with Wagon Box because there wasn't a whole lot going on between the two that really
except for that hayfield.
Well, that's crap. Well, that screwed up that plan.
Yeah, the one that like there's no books on, but a few articles.
Yeah, I just realized hayfield comes before Wagon Box. Crap. Okay. Good thing I didn't put it out in that order. So it'll start with Portuguese Phillips, and I guess we will go to the hayfield fight. So it's probably going to be a 45-minute episode.
There you
and
go.
It'll be Wagon Box, which will take all of 10 minutes.
Well, Wagon Box has more info.
That's true, but it's one
Man,
of those.
but I'll tell you what, Wagon Box is way more disputed.
Yeah.
How many guys in the same line can see different things in one story? I'll never know. What's a one guy? One guy's like all the charges were on foot, and everybody else is like, wait a minute. What about all the horseback charges that almost made it?
Yeah, there were some.
Don't you know
There were several times it was close.
Don't you know they killed like 2,000 warriors at that fight?
I heard 26, but maybe my numbers were off.
No, mine's off. I just I know it was a high number that they said they killed. So
I've always wondered that when they give these numbers out like Adobe Walls or something, I've always been like, who was the guy? I know how long it takes to count 500 head of cattle. Do you know how long it would take to count 1,000 warriors?
I would say just in the duress and stuff that they
Right.
And
Well,
they-
the Army always inflated the numbers too.
yeah. Or the writing period, or like kind of like how back then, like nowadays, back then too, they gussied up things to make it sound better.
So
Right.
Wagon Box, Sheldon, what's your take? Obviously not 3,000 like they used to say. What are you thinking? 800 to 1,000, or is that way too many too?
Like warriors,
Yeah.
I would say 1,000 on the high end.
Yeah. That's kind of what
Low
I
end.
went with.
Low end, I would say about 500,
Yeah.
and then dead maybe 50 or 100.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that. I think it was 20.
Yeah, I mean
What I've
50s.
read.
You might have the ones that wandered off and died later.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
And the native accounts kind of range between that 20 and 50 mark.
Yeah,
Um,
because to me 100 is exaggerating it.
right. Now the 3,000, yeah, that's how many warriors Lakota or Red Cloud had following him total.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that when they're planning their summer of where are we going to hit next? Let's hit Fort Phil Kearny. No, let's hit Fort C.F. Smith. No, let's hit Fort Reno. Before they finally decided, hey, let's hit all three at the same time.
We outnumber them all 20 to 1.
Because that's what it was. Is Red Cloud and several of the other warriors, they were sitting there like, no, we should hit this one. No, we should hit this one. They couldn't come to an agreement, so they said, well, then why don't we just go hit them both? And that's exactly what they did. But yeah, no, when they had their big camp together, it was 3,000 warriors total. That
I just know when you read the first-hand accounts of the soldiers, they were sitting in there. They were like, this is going to be Fetterman all over again. They had no clue they could even withstand such a... So they obviously, honestly thought there was a lot of them.
And we've seen when we're reading the records, there's even a dispute of how many civilians were at Wagon Box. What was it?
There's
McDermott
some people
said
say 6 and
12.
some people say 3.
And what was the record you saw, Garrett? So it was like 9.
9 at I think 9 was Hayfield, and 6 at Wagon Box maybe.
Okay, yeah, there was like, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know there was. I'm pretty sure it was 12 civilians is what McDermott lists as being inside of that.
Well, McDermott is the one that can't keep anything else straight.
Well, McDermott, the thing about McDermott's stuff is that he's got good sources. The problem is that man had the connections to get to sources that you and I will never see.
Oh, yeah? So you think he was more right than wrong?
Well, McDermott had connections in the National Archives.
Gotcha.
And so that's why I say that he had connections, or he got to material that we won't see because we can't get to the same documents that he was able to get access to.
How do you feel about him versus Keenan then?
I would say McDermott because McDermott was one hell of a historian. And I'm not saying that Keenan is wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
it's more simple book.
The sources, yeah.
It's more simple to study for me.
I mean, McDermott's got a 2-volume thing on Red Cloud's War with 2 chapters of that on Wagon Box. And both those chapters on Wagon Box are bigger than Keenan's.
Keenan's whole book?
Yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, McDermott reads off all the civilian names. Let me go grab it right quick.
Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, like to me, there's always just gonna be an estimate because, like, if you're in a big crowd of people, are like, "Oh, who's all here?" and people are like, "So."
Yeah. I couldn't tell that many people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you're with your buddies and you're like, "Oh yeah, for sure, these ones were here," but they're your buddies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're in a reenactment, can you tell me how many people were reenacting that day? I can't.
Right.
No, like I don't even know who most of the soldiers were down in Kansas that day.
Yep. I know there was 4 of us in the corner, and that's all I know. But I'm pretty sure there was about 2,000 reenactors there. And only 9 of them died.
Right.
Bjorn Broder said, interesting.
Here we go. Oh, wait, this Hayfield.
Just drove through Pine Ridge Reservation. I reckon that's where Red Cloud was in his last moments.
Oh, hold on. Can you hear me?
Jared, I hope you get out of jail soon. Oh, don't worry, Louisiana. It should be Sunday night. What were you saying, Sheldon? Say something?
Oh, seeing if you guys can hear me. I'm having issues right now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can still hear you. And we lost him. Okay. So this is from Captain Powell's report on the wagon box. He had Lieutenant Jeunesse, 26 enlisted men of Company C, and 4 citizens. Okay, so it was 4. I'm thinking of Hayfield when I said all that. Okay.
So that's wagon box. There was 4?
There was 4.
Okay.
Okay, Captain Powell says 4. Max Littman listed 5. William Camp identified the 5 as William Holmes, Tom Mallory, R.S. Blandvelt, Frank Peach, and Frank Gordon.
I was having issues there for a second.
Another civilian in the fight was R.J. Smith, bringing the final total to 6.
Yeah, I think that's what I said for wagon box. And possibly 9 for Hayfield. The way I understood it.
Hayfield was 12. That's the one it was. Yeah, that's the one that was way off. Yeah, it was 9. One says 9 at Hayfield. One says 12 at Hayfield.
So there were some killed at Hayfield, right? No, that's wagon box.
There was
3 soldiers were killed at wagon box, getting the civilians back in.
Yeah, there was 4 soldiers because Lieutenant Jeunesse got killed.
Yeah, but 3 on their way to the wagons.
Yeah,
and a 4th one made it.
But I forgot how many. There was 3 or 4 died.
Who had the shotgun?
At Hayfield?
Yeah.
I forgot which one of the guys had it, but it was actually belonged to another guy.
I'd like to know what make that was. Nobody probably wrote that down.
No, it was just listed as a
10-gauge shotgun.
Let's see here. So on this one where he talks about, okay, inside the corral at this point were 23 soldiers, including the picket, and 12 civilians. This is for Hayfield.
Okay.
And so he got that information from the Fort C.F. Smith Post Returns for August 1867. And then he says Vaughn reports 21 soldiers and 9 civilians.
Yeah, that's the one I have read.
So it's one of those. It's kind of a mix, but like I said, McDermott had a lot of access to a lot of records that we're not going to. Like, I don't even know where we'd find the Fort C.F. Smith Post Returns.
Well, not at Fort C.F. Smith, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and he wrote this book. Oh, actually, he didn't write this book that long ago. It was published in 2010.
Oh, that's fine.
He wrote Circle of Fire in 2003. And then, Camp Forlorn Hope. The beginning of the Nez Perce War, he wrote in 78. I need to get that book so we can do the Nez Perce stuff. He did this one in 2010. So this one is actually pretty recent. This is the most up to date. And let's see, Keenan wrote this in 2000. Okay.
Well, boys, I'm about ready to shut her down.
Let's get done because I need to go.
Yeah, I don't mind.
It's only about 95 degrees in here.
Yeah, I got the AC running. It's still hot.
I don't have no AC on this end.
So, anyway, I want to thank everybody that has come along and watched tonight. I know the number's down because we're only broadcasting on one channel because, things happened.
Wasn't too bad still. You still had 35 once.
Yeah. So thank everybody for coming out. Next week, hopefully, maybe reload show next week.
Oh yeah, if somebody reminds me, I guess I don't know which way. I don't know which way's up anymore.
So it'll either be the reload show or it'll either be Tales of the Trails. We'll probably be back next week unless something else comes up.
You coming back to the reload show, Sheldon?
If you guys invite me, yeah.
You're always invited.
Yeah, we'll invite you.
You might as well just be part of the crew at this point.
All right, cool. Thanks.
So, either way, we will be back next week. Tales of Trails podcast. I hope I have an episode next week. May not have an episode next week. We'll see. It all depends on if I can get out of this writer's block. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming on. Born. Hopefully, we'll have it next week. We'll have something next week. So anyway, thank you all once again. And as always, stay tuned. Keep your powder dry. Y'all stay safe out there. We'll catch you on the next one.